right, welcome back. This is take 77, and this is intro to lifting number 3. You are in our home. Welcome. No, you cannot use the bathroom. Our first series, what we're going to do is a little bit more progressive from what it is the first intro 1, intro 2, intro 3, and then intro 4. You'll be ready for stability 1 in a week or so. But what we're going to do is we're going to get right into the kneeling quad stretch. We're not going to worry about rear elevated foot. We're just going to get into that kneeling quad stretch, squeezing the cheeks, and we're just trying to get the body ready for a workout. I'm going to have Heather hold for about 3 to 5 breaths, squeezing the cheeks, and as she relaxes in between each breath, she'll squeeze a little bit more or push forward a little bit more, keeping her hips tucked underneath her, but still focusing on squeezing through the glutes. All right. And again, you can do these series. You don't have to do intro 1, intro 2, intro 3, and then never do it again. You can certainly, even if you've been lifting, these liftings videos are great for really hard post-workout lifts or really hard race efforts or time trials. Depending on how you're feeling. These are less invasive, but still promotion of blood flow and mobility through the body. So we have some of our professional runners as well do lifts similar to this. Next is going to be a side plank for about 30 seconds. In the side plank, this is something new. We're going to have the top foot over the top. We're going to go top heel to the toe. Right? We're going to make sure that the hips are up. All right, the ankle, the knee, the hip, and the shoulder are in a straight line. Squeezing those cheeks, so push those hips more towards me. Good. And we're just going to hold this for about 30 seconds. If your shoulders aren't strong enough for this, certainly 3 sets of 10 seconds is fine. Maybe 30 seconds at once, or if you don't have a clock, 5 to 6 slow breaths. All right, and switch sides. Good. Again, the top leg is over the top. Top foot is over the top, right? All right. The shoulder on top of the shoulder, on top of the elbow. Squeezing the cheeks. So we don't want to just run in a forward motion, right? I raise up my arm. You can see those lines moving diagonally. So when we run, our muscles are kind of doing this crisscross. We don't just want to work just crunches all the time for our stomach. Many would argue that it's very ineffective. We do want to work the sides of our body, our hips, our obliques, right? And relax. And then we're going to get into that kneeling frog. Knees are out to the side. Good. Squeezing those cheeks. And instead of moving forward, what we're going to do in between 1 or 2 breaths, we're going to just try to separate those knees just a little bit wider. There we go. Even if it's a ½ inch or an inch, that's more than enough sometimes to just feel like you're doing a little bit more. It doesn't have to go from here to here. Right? Again, we just want to use this opening series as a way to wake up the body. And relax. Go back into that kneeling quad stretch. Good. And again, just 3 to 5 slow breaths, and as you progress, you can push forward a little bit more, but you're going to walk your front foot forward as you do it. I want to make sure the shoulders stay on top of the hips and the hips stay tucked underneath, so you can squeeze those glutes. The more you squeeze back here, the more you're going to relax in the front. So we're going to do a few new exercises today. There's one that you might not have the equipment for, so I will give you a different exercise, but it is a band, right? And you will need an anchor point for that band. Maybe it's a doorknob, something that is going to hold. If you don't have something stable to put this band against, something heavy, truly heavy, well, then we're going to want to use some dumbbells for reverse fly. But once we get into that series, I'll walk you through that. Some of the other exercises you're going to need some dumbbells, maybe 8 to 10 to 12, 15-pound dumbbells. At either side, you might need a heavy kettlebell today or 2 heavier dumbbells for some deadlifts. We're going to do a chest fly off of a ball. So if you don't have a ball, you can use a chair or a bench if some of you have a bench. And honestly, that's about it. You don't need a lot of equipment for this. And again, if you don't have something, I'll give you an exercise. Instead of a chest fly, maybe we go into a push-up. All right? There's a lot of different ways to work the body. And then from here, we're going to go back into that Frogger. Someone reached out on Instagram asking me, what order should I be doing these things? And it's very difficult to answer that because we can't always know what somebody's doing outside of this. So we're doing this to help provide you with a way of staying healthy, staying fit, staying in shape. But without that coaching communication, it's very difficult to say, oh, you should do this, you should do that, you should do this, and do it in this order. So one way to look at it is you could just go through the series, intro 1, intro 2, do that a few weeks in a row, then intro 2, intro 3, do that a few weeks in a row, and then go stability 1, stability 2, and then kind of mix and match slowly. That would be a very generic way of answering that. But we are done with the mobility side, so we're going to get right into it. Heather, I'm going to have you grab 2 8-pound dumbbells, hold them at your side, and get into a kneeling split squat position, that kneeling quad stretch that you were in before. Good. So in this position, Heather's got her foot directly underneath the knee, the same quad stretch we had. Actually, let's have you point yourself towards the window so we can see a little bit better on the purple mat.
The purple mat moves a lot, though.
All right, we'll just have you here, and I'll just angle this down. There we go. So you can see the back toe. There we go. It's hard to maneuver my hand. The back toe is, it's not the very tip of the toe. The toes are bent. The knee, there we go, is directly over that heel. Heather's going to stand up. Perfect position right there. And come down slow. That's 1. Up with energy, and then down slow. I'm going to change the tempo, right? Up with energy, controlled energy, and then down slowly. When I say down slow, we want it to go down by about 3 or 4 seconds. You want to come up with a bit of energy, right? So you have a little bit of oomph to your step, right? But when you come down in a very slow and controlled manner. We're going to call that 6 reps. We're going to do 4 more. We're going to aim for 10 reps total. Now, if holding weights at your side is too much, don't do it. And if you hear my dogs barking, ignore them. Right. There they are, right on cue, because there's people here. Heaven forbid we have neighbors. Oh, no. Go, get.
Come on, buddy. Want to do some split squats?
Get. All right, other side, double door, go. Get. Guys are the devil. The devil. Yeah, shake your little tail feather. All right, so 8 to 10 on one side, 8 to 10 on another. All right. If the weight's too much, don't hold weight. Just let your hands rest at your hips or at your side. All right, you're going to go down slow for 3 to 4 seconds and up with energy. I don't know how, but Dumbledore got a sock. Yeah. So then from here, we're going to go into a push-up position. We're going to start on the knees. Toes are going to be on the ground. Hands are going to be a little bit wider than shoulders. The hips are a little bit more forward. Walk those hands more forward for me. Good. So now what we're going to do is going to do a normal push-up as deep as you can go without causing pain and still having the strength to push back up. Good. All we're going to do is add a little bit of a pause at the bottom. That's it. We're going to go 6 to 8 reps. If you can manage 8 to 10, fantastic. All right? But the hips move with the chest. It's not chest then hips or hips then chest. They move together. The only thing that's moving right now are the arms and the shoulders. All right? But the body maintains a plank position. You're going to go down, you're going to pause for 1 to 2 seconds, and then you're going to come back up with energy. All right? 6 to 8 is the goal. 8 to 10 would be fantastic. By adding that pause in there, we're giving the body a little bit more exposure over time, and we're going to develop some stability, some endurance in those muscles, and eventually be able to do push-ups on the feet. All right. Next exercise is band retraction. So in that, if you don't have a band, I'll show you a substitute exercise, but arms are going to go through the band, grab the band in front of you. 1 foot in front, hands a little bit wider than shoulders, a little bit wider than that, just because it's a thicker band. Now, if you have a lighter band, you can start a little bit more narrow, but if you have a pretty thick band, you're going to want to start wide. Band around the chest height, and retraction, and then back in smooth and slow. Good. What we don't want to see is that dipping in the band when you come back in. Again, for this, we're going to go for 8 to 10 reps. If this is too heavy, we'll grab a lighter band. Now, if you don't have the band, you can grab 2 dumbbells and go for a retraction, right? Same motion, it's just a different position of the body. How's that band feel?
This seems fine.
Okay, 8 to 10 reps is the goal. 8 to 10. And if we, just like with lighter dumbbells, if we need to go lighter with a band, we have a thinner band. Little less resistance if we need it. Now from here, we're going to go into that split squat position again. And we're not going to take a rest, we're going to go right into it.
Rude.
I know. Here we go. Split squat with the 8 counters at your side. Coming down slow, but up with energy. Now this is too easy. Even with the dumbbells, and you don't have any dumbbells that are heavier, go ahead and put those weights at your shoulders. But if this is good for you, this is an appropriate range, we'll keep those weights at the side. But of course, if this is too heavy, or you started with 8 pounds in the second round or the third round as we get to it, became too aggressive, we'll regress and put the weights safely off to the side. Number, where are we at?
That was 8,
All
I
right.
believe, or 9.
Good. It's all right to have a little bit more mobility in an ankle versus the other. It's okay to have a little bit more strength in one leg versus the other. We want to try to identify some of those imbalances and attack them. Good. Now, we're not just pressing through the toe on this. We're pressing through the forefoot, the outside of the foot, as well as the heel, the 3 points of contact in the ground. Squeezing those cheeks, down slow, up with energy. From here, again, we're going to go into that push-up position. Hips are forward because you're squeezing the cheeks. Down slow with a pause and then up. Good. Now, one of the things that you can do is set a goal for yourself to get as low as you can without causing pain, of course. You could always put a dumbbell or a cup or a rolled up pair of socks just to give yourself a pressure point to let you know that you are getting as low as you can go, or your goal. And if you can't continue to go as low, maybe the first set you get 10, you got all the way down there. And then the second set you only got 7. And then in the third set you only got as low as 4. That's okay, it gives you this idea of progression. Once you get all the way down to touch that point for 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 12, well then it might be time to then go to the feet. All right? And then from here we have the band retraction. Again, if you don't have a band, you can grab dumbbells, all right, flat back, Wherever that chest is pointed, that face is pointed, and we go out to the side.
Is this the same one I was using?
You got a little bit lighter of a band. That's all right. That's all right.
Wow.
Right? Big
Sorry.
difference.
I was like, that feels really easy.
I just noticed myself. A little bit of resistance change can affect things. Too easy and certainly too heavy as well. We're going to try to get down towards the sternum. So what we're not trying to do, the Heather's not doing this, but what we're not trying to do is pull here. We're trying to pinch with the shoulder blades. That's how we want to move the weight. Right? We're not trying to pull it with the shoulders. We want to pinch it and move our arms because we're pinching with our shoulder blades. Right? When we're running, we get tired. It's very easy to start to run like this with very, very poor posture. It means our chest is very, very tight and our back is not activated anymore. But when we have good posture, we're using our back muscles to pull that elbow back. Right? It's really important to have a good, strong upper body. Even if you're not big, you can still have a lot of strength and a lot of power in your upper body. We're going to go right back into that split squat. We're going to do round 3. This time, Heather, I want your weights at your shoulders.
Back.
There we go.
Cruel.
That's right. Too easy for you. Down slower. Good. A lot of questions we get, is lifting important to running? Well, if running is your goal, if you're training to become the best runner you can, well, then you need to run, right? You're not going to be the best runner you physically can if you only run twice a week and you lift 7 days a week, right? You have to spend time doing the sport that you want to improve in. But it doesn't mean that lifting is not going to enhance or augment the running at all. So lifting, even in this way, 2 to 3 days a week, 35 to 45 minutes, can absolutely benefit your running. It's just a matter of, do you have the time in your day to make it make sense? Most people do. We're sitting, we sit and watch TV. We have some time in the day, even if it's just 15 minutes of mobility work, which you can take a look at some of the other videos on our YouTube channel. Even if you don't have the dedicated time because you work full time, you have kids, your hours are crazy, you can still do some mobility work. That might only take 10 to 15 minutes, and that could help your running greatly. Good, adding that pause. So when we're lifting, one of the things that we're not just trying to gain strength, we're also trying to gain mobility. When we're running, we might only be truly spending the vast majority of our run in this range of motion. It's not that great of a range of motion, but if this is the only range of motion you ever spend, this can actually become pretty invasive. So by doing squats, we're increasing that range of motion so that this is no longer invasive on the body, right? And band retraction. Last set through, and then we're going to progress and move forward. Now, if this is too easy, you've gone through 2 rounds, you don't have a heavier band, add a pause on the outside, then come back in slowly. One of the things that Heather is doing a great job of is not letting the band snap her arms back. Right? She's controlling how slow the band is moving on the way in. But she's not protecting her armpits, which I can tickle at any time.
That is not cool.
Not where are we at?
I don't know, I lost my focus.
It's one of the things you got to be aware of. Your spouse tickling you as you lift.
It's rude.
All right. All right, so we're going to take a little bit of a break as we discuss the next series, just to let the body come down a little bit. The next exercises you are going to need is some heavier dumbbells or a kettlebell. You're going to need some either a bench or a ball for a chest fly. And then we're going to do a kneeling band exercise. But if you don't have a band, I gotta change our screen here. If you don't have a band, well then I'll walk you through another series of exercises. So what we are going to do is, I'm gonna angle this just a little bit. We have a bike that's pretty heavy, right? It's pretty stable. And we're gonna attach this band to something pretty stable so that when we go into a kneeling push exercise, we have something that's not going to tip over. You can use a fastened door or a doorknob, tied pretty tightly. You just want to make sure that you have something stable. Now, if you don't have this, or nothing you have is heavy enough or stable enough, please don't do this exercise. You're going to smack somebody in the face, and that's not always going to be fun. Or maybe it is.
It depends.
It depends. So, next exercise is going to be the deadlift. We're going to go 8 to 10 reps. We're going to have you point out towards the window. Feet are going to be flat, chest is going to be down, chin is going to be pointed, tuck your chin. So we're nice and neutral, right? Nice and neutral. Up. So when you go down, the hips stay high, the knees bend slightly, and it's really about the chest getting lower. We want to almost get the chest to the height of the hips, right? You want to feel a bit of a stretch through the hamstring. Down slow, but up with energy. Very similar to the squat or the split squat, pushing not just through the toes or the heel, but all points of the foot. 8 to 10 reps. Now, if you don't have a kettlebell, you can use 2 dumbbells. The heavier the dumbbell, the better. Right, at your side, or one big one here, so long as you're protected and you can manage the weight in that way. Next exercise, you're going to grab your ball or a bench. And we're going to go into a chest fly. So have a seat on the ball, put the weights at your shoulders before you start rolling out.
Ooh, she's squishy.
She's squishy. We got to put some air on that. Good. She walked out. Weights are at the shoulders, right? Head's relaxed on the ball. The hips are up tall. The knees are above the heels. She's squeezing her cheeks. She's using her stomach to support herself. Arms are up. Slight bend in the elbow and out wide and then back up. We don't need the weights going any lower than the shoulder. Just above the shoulder is fine in terms of height or depth, right? This is a bit different than the push-up, but it's still getting the chest. But instead of doing this on a bench, we're using the ball so we can wake up the body, meaning the glutes, the hamstrings, right? And this is the same motion as the retraction, right? We're just working the exact opposite part of the body. So why is this important? This does get a good stretch through the chest, right? But when we're swinging our arm forward in the run, we're using that chest muscle and the shoulder to do it. We don't need to lift an incredible amount of weight, but we do want to have that range of motion. Now, if this bothers your shoulder because of an injury, you could always go in close, keeping the elbows towards the rib cage. Next exercise, we're going to go with a kneeling band push. So, Heather, you're going to kneel down, and the side that you are on is the hand that you're going to grab. So this is going to come to your sternum. All right. Other hand over the top, and you're going to push forward, pause, and then come back to the sternum. All right. Push forward, pause, come back to the sternum. 8 reps on one side, and then we'll turn and we'll go 8 reps on the other side. Similar to the side plank, all right? We're actually working the torso, all right? We're working the transversus abdominis. We're pushing out, we're holding. The band is going to want to pull you, so you're fighting against that band, pushing in. All right? So you're just going to turn and face forward. All right? One foot in front. Now this is going to be an interesting angle, so I'm going to walk the camera over. All right, so we can see.
Stare at my butt?
All right. So tuck those hips underneath you. Lean forward with the shoulders a little bit more. There we go. So again, we have a very stable surface. Now, if you don't have this, one of the things that you can do is just go back to that side plank, but instead of 30 seconds, go to 45 seconds. Let's let those elbows come a little bit more towards the rib cage so the hands can stay a little bit more narrow. So even though we're going forward and backward, this is actually a twisting motion. Good. And now we're going to go back into the deadlift. 8 to 10 reps. You guys got a nice view of my guitar, made here in Flagstaff. All right. Good. So with the deadlift, it's very common to want to just squat down. Right? We're not doing a squat. Right? We're trying to wake up the glutes and the hamstrings. So you will bend a little bit, but you want to do your best to keep your nice flat back. Chest is going to rotate down. It's basically a hip hinge. And like anything, the more you do something, the better you will get. That's why I'm so good at making lasagna. So true.
It is so true.
It's so true. Alrighty, next exercise is that chest fly off of the ball.
Oh, she's squishy.
She's squishy. Alright. Hips are up tall. Head's back on the ball. Relax so you're supported. Not fighting it with your neck. Palms are up. Good. Now you will bend those elbows just a little bit as you go out, but the longer you can keep that lever, the better. So long as you're not causing pain. Now again, if you have a shoulder issue, this rotation might not be the best thing for you. So one of the things you can do instead is just keep everything neutral. It's very similar to the push-up, but at least you're not causing that rotational damage if you have an issue. I know this because I have some shoulder issues from previous injuries from decades ago. That's how old I am now. I can actually say decades ago I got hurt.
Back in my day.
That's right. So if you're wondering what type of spandex shorts, I got the 2xU spandex shorts on. Just in case, we're going to do that band exercise again.
Just in case what?
Well, just in case people want to buy the shorts.
Oh, I thought you meant just in case you had to like run out of here.
You know? This is my daily attire. At the sternum, right? Not at the armpit, at the sternum. And push. So one of the things that Heather is right now, she's actually backed up. So I'm actually going to have Heather kneel forward a little bit. So her sternum is in line with the anchor point. So she's now even. So when she pushes, it'll actually be a little bit harder to maintain that direction. I'm going to walk you through what that means. So now she's even with the anchor point. All right? And that inside hand closest to the anchor point is the arm that grabs it. The other hand comes over the top. Steven Spielberg's got nothing on me. All right. Good. Add a little bit more of a pause, just to give yourself a little bit more of a challenge to fight that rotation. And we're going to hold those wrists up a little bit higher, right to the sternum versus below the sternum. Remember, where are we at?
Second.
Anywhere from 8 to 10 is great on here. And then we're going to go back to one more series of the deadlift. And that will be the last round of this second series. We're not just pushing through the forefoot, we're pushing through all 3 points outside, inside, and the heel. All right, we're squeezing the cheeks, pulling through the hamstrings to pull ourselves up. We're waking up what they call the posterior chain, the back of the body. So much of our running is spent thinking about what's happening in front of us, we forget how important these back muscles are to propel us forward. Number, where are we at?
This is 10.
All right. All right. Chest fly. How's that weight feel on the chest fly? Is it appropriate?
Well, I could probably do heavier, but we don't really have
We
heavier.
don't have heavier. So, what am I going to say? What are we going to do with this weight?
Oh, I don't know. Just let me live.
Let it live. All right. We're going to add a little bit of a pause. All right. Add a little bit of a pause. You want to make the lighter weight feel a little bit heavier. You don't have the option of going heavier. Add a pause. You don't want to do that just off the bat without knowing. Squeezing those cheeks, keeping the hips up a little taller. Pull those feet underneath you. There we go. But if you got through 2 rounds, and you're going to go through 3. If you got through 66% of the session, that the weight was no problem at all, well, find a way to make that same weight feel heavier, or just go up in heavier weight if you have the option. There's no real rush with lifting in this way because it's supplemental. So you could take a session like this, if this is the first time you're doing intro to 3, and you can find out, okay, I can move this much weight in this many reps comfortably. Next time around, maybe in the middle of the session, I'll add that pause, or maybe right off the bat I can add that pause, and then I can pick up some weight. All right. Next exercise is the band push. Protecting you from the Dumbledore. Now, I don't know how Hedda does it, but she apparently breathes through her nose through lifting. I personally, it's like a physical impossibility. So if you're breathing through your mouth, that's what I do. That's the only way I breathe. I get some questions on breathing. What should I do? Should I breathe through my nose? Should I breathe? It's really about comfort. Heather's comfortable breathing through her nose. I'm not.
I actually don't breathe.
She doesn't breathe.
I'm a robot.
Never. But in that, one of the things we want to make sure doesn't happen when you're breathing, especially when you're breathing heavy at the end of a run or at the end of a race or a workout, is that you're breathing through your chest. And what I mean by that is that when you breathe through your chest, you raise your chest and your shoulders, and you exhale by dropping them. It's not a very efficient way of breathing, and you get a lot less air through your system, and that is only going to slow you down. So we want to practice breathing through the belly, right? Expanding that belly out and pushing the air out through our stomach versus breathing through our throat or through our chest. One of the best ways you can think about that or practice that is just stare at yourself in the mirror and take as big of a breath as you can without moving your shoulders up. All right, so we've done 2 total body complexes, and now we're going to just focus on the hips. This is what I call the sprinter hurdle or the sprinter hip complex. What we're going to do is going to go into the fire hydrant position. And we're going to go out to one side, fire hydrant. Good. Raising the knee, not just the foot. Keeping the elbows straight, not letting the elbows bend. Right? We're going to go 10 reps on one side, 10 reps on the other side. Then once you're done with that, I'm going to have you get on the purple mat and face the window.
Sounds like timeout.
I know. Focus on the knee, not the foot.
I'm getting tired.
All right. Focus on the knee. There we go. It's not the foot. Rotating from the knee. There we go. Or from the hip. Raising the knee. All right. These are going to start to burn. That's what we're looking for. As soon as you're done there, you're going to go and face the windows. Same position that you're in now. All right, we're going to do donkey kicks. Everything here stays steady. We're going to choose this leg. You're going to raise it up in the air just a little bit. And you're going to kick it back straight behind you and then back down. Right? Back up, good, and back down. So we work the hips off to the side, and now we're going to work the hips in a different direction. The idea is maintaining complete stability through here, through the upper body. Good, keeping that foot dorsiflex towards the knee. There we go. 10 on one side, 10 on the other side. There's a lot of ways you can progress this. We're going to start with the simplest form to make sure there's no major imbalance. I'm going to show you my dog. Look at him. Just there. Just lying down. Oh, there it is. He's angry now. He was guarding. I'm glad you guys got to see him in his slumber state. It lasts for about 30 seconds a day. All right. So now, actually, you're going to keep facing that direction. We have one more series. So you're going to take this left leg. You're going to put it straight out behind you. Okay? And then you're going to pull it out to the side, up, in, and down. But the knee never touches the ground. So out, keeping this toe pointed. Pull it around and up and over, and then down. All right, so there's no rotation off of the shoulders. You want to keep that knee as high as you can and pull it all the way up to those armpits as best as you can without rotating through the front. All right. So we're looking for hip mobility and strength. That knee never touches the ground unless, of course, you need to rest. Good. All the way extended behind. She's got the height of her heel all the way to the same height of her cheeks. Right? Full extension. She's not rotating forward at all. So the upper body is staying stable, and all that rotation is coming through the hip, demonstrating control. Pulling around, good. Then we're just going to go through one more series of those. We're going to start with the fire hydrant. Right? Now with the fire hydrant, we're going to progress it. Everybody's favorite, we're going to do the long-legged fire hydrant. You might not be ready for this. We're going to find out. So, kneel down.
I quit.
Yeah, she quits. Toes underneath you. So you're dorsiflexing. One foot perpendicular to the body.
You go like this, right?
Yep. A little bit more forward.
Ah!
All right. So, she's going to stay there. I'm going to hold this position so you guys can see. All right. She's perpendicular to the body. There we go. So now what she's going to try to do is raise that leg out to the side without letting those elbows bend. Right? Heather, move your right hand a little bit more to your right side. So that way you're kind of like a tripod with your hands and your knee. There we go, right? So now go ahead and raise that leg. Good. And down. And we're just going to go 5 to 8 reps. Now, for some of you, this is a nightmare already. You got 1 inch off the ground and you're already asking for Jesus. If that is the case for you, you might not be ready for this just yet. Watch that elbow. Don't let that elbow bend. All right? If that's the case for you, go back to the bent knee fire hydrant. All right? It's okay for one side to feel stronger or more stable than the other. Dumbledore does not like our neighbors.
I think he doesn't like these straight like fire hydrants.
It's very possible. All right, good. Now you're going to rotate a little bit off to the other side, but do your best to put your weight into the foot that you're raising up. So try to shift your weight into that foot a little bit as you raise it. There we go. Whatever you sacrifice in foot height, it doesn't matter. You want to push that weight into that side so you're just rotating off of the hip. Watch that elbow.
Yeah. Whew.
All right. Donkey kicks. Last series. Yeah. You got 4 exercises to go. Dogs are going nuts. Good. No, Dumbledore. No nubs. I love you, but go. Go, 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 go.
He's trying to rescue me.
Yeah.
He senses my distress.
He senses the distress. The booty's burning. Nope. Sorry, buddy. Love you. And switching sides. Oh, don't let that foot go straight back. Most importantly, because you'll kick the guitar off the wall. But we do want to have that 90-degree bend. Good. And then we're going to do the hurdles.
My shoulders.
Alright. So with the hurdles, let's have you face the camera this time.
Okay.
That way they can see what this looks like coming from this side. Move forward a little bit more.
Oh yeah, because I gotta kick my leg back.
Yeah. Alright guys. This is just so you can see it from the side. Foot goes straight back and then around. Alright? Straight back. And then there we go. I see how high the knee is trying to stay on the or she's keeping that knee rather as she raises it out to the side and pulls it around. Imagine that you have a stack of phone books, or better yet,
The kids are like, "What's a phone book?"
right? You're trying to push it over something like a foam roller, right? Pulling it up and over the top. And switch. Folks ask if this is really going to benefit running. Well, yes. That solves that question. If it wasn't important, even for just something simple like this, we wouldn't waste our time with it. I'd be watching reruns of The Price is Right instead.
Spay and neuter your pets.
Spay and neuter your pets. Sorry, Dumbledore. Good. Good knee. Watch those elbows. Opposite elbow especially.
Whew.
All right, folks. That is it.
Oh.
That is it. Thank you so much for the time. Hello. Thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. There is a droplet of sweat down here.
It is like 75 degrees in here.
Right
it's very
there.
warm.
Right? So, guys, we hope you enjoyed it. Intro to 3. We're going to have one more. And then after this, you'll be ready for Stability 1. All right. Take care.